If you're anything like me, when you heard about these patches, you did a little research on the company and how these patches worked. But no matter how much research you do or interviews you listen to, for some reason, you just never feel like you could possibly even relay what this genius of a man has created. He has over 180 patents on products and technologies. And so I started thinking, I was like, I could wait 50 years until I learned everything perfectly, but I will never be able to understand or relay the information like David Schmidt. So I understand the analysis by paralysis. There's just so much information. I want to have all the answers, all the things, but there's something that is working underneath these little stickers. So some of the most frequently asked questions I want to kind of touch on so that you can get a little bit more information. So maybe you've had one of these questions or a few of these somewhere along learning about these patches, and I want to break things down very simple from a non-science human as possible. Okay, so there's some words that you might want to pause the video or screenshot and go Google after this video. Those are GHKCU copper peptides, and David Schmidt is a genius man. What I want you to take away is you don't have to understand everything to know that there's a safe phototherapy product that works, that you are literally allowed to just put a sticker on your body and it does amazing things in your body. So first things first, what is light therapy?
In the late 1960s or so, Dr. Becker, who wrote a book called The Body Electric, he was looking at how the electrical systems in the body control the biochemistry. But there's actually another layer above that, which is, of course, is biophotons. And this was discovered by Fritz Popp around the 1970s. And so it's very simple. These observations we can see, which will mimic things that we can learn if we read the Bible regularly. We can see that this is all about light. And you take human cells, animal cells, plant cells, you put them in a room that's completely dark, you use a device called a photomultiplier tube, and you can measure highly coherent pulses of light coming off of these living cells. And what's interesting is that we can correlate a person's biological age to biophoton emission, meaning that this is a marker now, because what we're doing, of course, in our lab is looking at how can we stop and reverse human aging. One of the markers is to look at how is light emitted from the cells and how can we improve upon that. So I think the first thing is with observation. How does the human body really work? The second thing is that in the military, they've been using light for communication for many, many decades. You take light, you modulate it, and you encode information onto it. So when I had this opportunity in the 90s to work on this project, I thought, okay, we've got satellite communications, we've got cell phones. How can we build a device that can communicate with the human body? Let's do it with light, because that's how the human body is working and how it was designed.
Amazing, thank you. I mean, isn't that incredible? Wow.
How does this patch work?
So we need to understand that the way that we were created was that light is going to initiate all the biochemical changes in the body. And the common example is we go out in the sun and light will cause our body to make vitamin D or whatever else. So the LifeWave patches contain a blend of natural materials. They're stereoisomers of amino acids and sugars. And they're processed in a very specific way so that when they're activated by body heat, they will stimulate the skin with very low levels of light. With X39, we want to do two things. The first thing is we want to upregulate mitochondrial function. So when the patch stimulates the skin with light, it will increase an enzyme in the cell called cytochrome C oxidase. This will in turn upregulate fat burning in the cell, and there's a signal that turns on production of GHKCU copper peptide. And of course, this in turn provides the body with all of these health and wellness benefits. So the patch is activated by body heat, stimulates the skin with light, and increases the body's levels of copper peptide.
So along the lines of that, what exactly is it doing?
The first thing that we wanted to do with X39 was a blood test, because it was either going to elevate copper peptide or not. And the problem was that the blood test didn't exist. So we had to work with two separate laboratories in California, and we had to create a blood test. And we did that. We worked with a very talented PhD in San Diego, and they were able to create this and measure levels of GHK and GHKCU. We then set up a pilot test with 10 people. We did it, and every single person, we saw an improvement in copper peptide levels. From there, then we started to set up larger tests. We did our double-blind studies.
Another very common question is, how do I know it's still working if I don't feel anything or see anything or notice any difference? And This is what David Schmidt says.
You know, I tried the patch, I tried the X39, and I didn't feel anything. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, well, you know, for many people, this is no different than taking vitamins, and you're not necessarily going to feel, let's say, a B vitamin, but you know that it's good for your body. What I would encourage people to do is a few things. First, before they start using the patches, they should take a self-assessment and get a pretty good idea of how do I feel? Am I getting tired in the afternoon? Do I have aches and pains? And then they'll see 1 week, 3 weeks later that their body is changing. They're sleeping better, they're feeling better, maybe some of their aches and pains are gone. They should take a before-after photo, so take a picture of themselves before they start using the product. So it's really important that we build up a strong foundation of those principles so we can have the best health possible.
Would you say there's a percentage of people that have done those tests you said? What percentage is getting results of everyone that you do the tests on approximately?
Yeah, it'll vary from one product to another, but let's say it's about in the 90-95% range. What we see is that on the bioelectrical level, it's about 96%. So when we apply let's say something like the LifeWave patch to the body, it's 96% of the population, we can see a change in the bioelectrical conductivity of the tissue. And we measure this with something called an electroacuoscope. We also use a device called a biopulsar and a Menla scan. So, but in any case, somebody, let's say they have pain, they have inflammation, you apply the patches, 96% responders. That 4% can be a variety of things. That could be a deficiency of potassium, deficiency of magnesium. Usually comes down to deficiency in electrolytes where those signals can't transfer through the body.
Well, what did you learn? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so stinking much, but my biggest thing for one is don't wait. I had a lot of people tell me, like, I'm going to wait and see what this does for you and what this does for David. And that was 4 months ago. And I can just imagine the progress that they would have had, that maybe they started later or maybe they haven't started yet. If that's you, if you're just waiting to see what comes of this, don't wait. We have seen 4 months of just wild transformations, wild testimonies in people's bodies. And if you're living with pain or a chronic illness or a diagnosis, this is something that could potentially help with your general wellness and health issues and all of those things. So you know where to find me. I'm here and I'd love to help you.